Call the press box, call Channel 2 News, spread the news on Twitter. We're doing another first impressions video. Facebook blows up. So I wasn't really planning on filming this morning, but it was just too perfect, and we're just making a spontaneous impressions video of the Gin Carve 16 meter that my man Matt Minyard so kindly is lending me from Paramotor, Louisiana. So my experience on the Gin Carve 16 so far: I have one flight on it at Endless Foot Drag, which is on YouTube. I have another flight on it at Matt's place, which is on YouTube. I have one flight on it this morning, which I just did, which is not on YouTube. So that's a total of 3 flights. This will be number 4. But right now, the winds are really, really calm. I just did a true no wind forward on it. Now there's a little bit more wind, but it's really smooth out here, and we just got this perfect flat environment to go test this wing. Before we go in the air, I'll show you guys a little bit about the wing on the ground. First off, if you're watching this and you're not experienced paramotor pilot, this wing is a slalom freestyle advanced wing, and especially in the size 16, it's a wing that after years of flying, you will fly and love. In no way is it a beginner wing. A couple things I noticed right off the bat about the wing. I'm going to compare a lot of things to my Ozone Freeride because that's the wing I'm most familiar with. It's the one I've been flying for the last couple years. The construction is a lot thicker. Ozone, I think, uses a little bit more lightweight materials. They're trying to go light. This is a little bit beefier. You can notice that the rods in the leading edge that create that airfoil shape, they're a bit thicker than I'm used to. Cell openings are pretty small, and interestingly, most of the lines are unsheathed. Let's go look at the risers. So that same sort of trend carries on with the risers. They're a bit more beefy, sort of like a dudek construction, I would say. Not a lot like Ozone construction. They seem like they would be very durable, heavy duty. Just look at these trim buckles. Like, that is a beefy trim buckle. You got the speed system. The trims are moderate length, I would say. They're not quite as long as a lot of dudek wings, and they're much longer than most Ozone wings. When I talked to Matt, he said that it's about 50-50. Half of the speed is in the trims, half is in the speed bar system. On my free ride, it's somewhere more like 1/3 and 2/3. 1/3 being the trims, 2/3 being the speed bar. But yeah, it's got 2D steering hooked up, nice toggles, neat magnet system. Yeah, and you can see a lot of these lower lines, pretty much all of them except for the brake lines, are unsheathed. Alrighty, let's get clipped in. Wind is maybe hitting a max of 2 miles per hour right now. Nice and easy. She comes right up, waits for you, and it's not a problem. I'll start by talking about some of the positives I've observed so far. First off, no wind launch is nice and easy. That's a characteristic that I value a lot, so having a good inflation is important to me, and so far so good. It's not given me any issues. So after the launch, another positive thing, when I was flying with Matt in Louisiana, we were in some turbulent air, and it handled the turbulence really nice. That's another thing that I value personally. I had flown a Viper 4 for a while, and that wing is very nervous in turbulence. The Carve gave me a lot of confidence. It felt very locked in, similar to my free ride and similar to the Nivik Cubic, which I really liked. Another positive I'm feeling so far, it feels very efficient. I'm cruising right here. Oh, just went over a jackrabbit. I'm cruising at a lower RPM than on my free ride. I'm also going a little bit slower. You're going slower, but you're using less RPM. So, I mean, maybe it's not a perfect trade-off, but I do like it.
So that's my next positive. Flicking this thing around, it handles great. The roll rate is definitely more than my free ride. By a little bit. It requires a little bit less pressure, and it just feels more neutral on that axis, like it wants to roll into turns. It flicks around really nice. I mean, the name is the Jin Carve. It does carve very well. When you do wingovers, it doesn't fall out of the sky like my free ride does. It doesn't eat up a whole lot of altitude when you're putting it at the ground, which I think is a huge positive. In some ways, like when you're doing wingovers, you don't want to chew up all that altitude all at once. The only way that could be a disadvantage is I really like hooking in for long swoopy landings, and having a wing that dives at the ground makes that aspect more fun. So it's kind of like, you can look at it either way. I think overall it's a positive. I've never released the trims on this guy, so let's give that a shot. I have no scientific data, but we've picked up some speed. That's always a good sign. Definitely cruising a bit faster by the flappy jacket measurement system. Pull those back in. They have a white line, which is like neutral. Alright, so here's a characteristic that I noticed when I was flying it in perfectly smooth air. And this to me is, I guess it's not a positive or negative, it's just something that feels a little bit weird. So as you engage the brakes, I feel like you start to pull and you hit this little wall, and it's kind of heavy. Initially it's heavy, and then you kind of break through this wall, and then it gets soft again. Like in this range it's soft, and then you keep pulling, and now it gets hard again. I guess that kind of sounded perverted, but I hope you get what I mean. I've only really felt that characteristic while I'm trimmed out on other gliders, where you feel that reflex kind of engage, where you hit a hard stop and then you get like linear pressure after that, which is kind of interesting because it's trimmed relatively slow, but you still feel that reflex profile. Let's relate that kind of to a flare. Slow flight up at altitude feels fine. Like if I come off of power, I can get it nice and slow deep into that harder pressure, and you can I can flap it a little bit and feel right where that stall point would be. However, what I have found, as I come in for a landing and I flare maybe a foot high above the ground to try to get that full flare all the way deep down, I found that it kind of falls out behind you. As you come in and you punch that flare, the wing will basically horseshoe and fall behind you. That barrel roll felt super good. I don't have a ton of altitude, but wingovers, barrel rolls are very, very nice. Alright, one final little test up at altitude. Let's see how she handles some big ears. Perfect. Release. Ooh, and they pop out definitively by themselves. No brake pressure required. I mean, that's not much of a scientific test, but maybe it'll tell you something. I don't know. Is that a full Red Bull? I don't know if I can get it. Jacqueline just put out a full Red Bull on my chase cam for me to pick up. I don't know if I can do that with no wind. I might just kick the can and it'll blow up and I'll lose it. No freaking way! I'm a freaking bald eagle! I can't believe I got that. That was absurd. I thought for sure there was no way I was gonna be able to grab it. You have like a split second to latch onto it. Freaking A, mate. Not too bad. Oh. I just got peach Red Bull all over. Now I just gotta chug this whole thing. Alright, peach Red Bull down. Make sure I don't put it through my prop. Oh, that wasn't bad. I almost got her. So, here's the grand finale. I'm gonna come in for a landing. I'm gonna try to flare hard, like a foot off the ground, so you can see what happens when you fully flare. When I did it before, it kind of just dropped out at the very bottom of the flare. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. I would say maybe it's a normal thing. However, what I can say is one thing I really like about my free ride is when I do that, the wing still stays above me. Get her a little bit of energy. Right there.
All right, so Gin Carve 16, overall, I'm really enjoying it. It's a fun wing to fly. I'm enjoying the not so folly out of the sky characteristic it has, the little bit more flickability, and I'm stoked to keep flying it, gain more experience on it, and yeah, give you guys more impressions. Hopefully in the near future have 20 or 25 hour or flight or something review going on. So yeah, I definitely recommend it to a friend. You guys know if I don't like a wing, I would tell you guys about it. So if you guys are following along on our van life adventure, look forward to more Phoenix stuff going on. Today we're just kind of trying to catch up on some van maintenance as well as editing and stuff, because I'm super behind on a lot of things. So we're trying to do that, but stick around for more adventures. If you are supporting us on Patreon, huge thank you to you guys. Cannot tell you how much I appreciate your support. And if you haven't seen our Patreon, it's linked right down below in the description, so make sure you check it out. And with that, I will see you guys in the next episode. Till then, peace.